Hi guys, I'm here in Reidsville, North Carolina with David at his farm, Sunset Market Gardens. We're really excited to show you a tour, and we're gonna get started showing you around this amazing farm. So David, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your farm and how you guys got started?
Yeah, so we're Sunset Market Gardens. We've been farming for 6 years. We're in our 7th season now. We're a 13-acre farm. We cultivate half an acre. We grow mostly in high tunnels under plastic. We are a no-till market garden. We do everything by hand. We're a hand-tended farm. And I guess we'll get right into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have 5 of you guys Gothic Pro Farmer Friends tunnels. We love the fact that they're easy to put up, inexpensive, easy to recover the expense. We found that depending on the crop, that one crop in the tunnel can pretty much cover the cost. We love the fact that we could be early, late, great work environment, out of the wind, the rain. We find that everything grows better under a tunnel, but here we are the 1st of May. We already have peppers going and eggplant.
Yeah, and these are unheated tunnels, yeah. Now you've done some unique things with your tunnels, kind of aftermarket upgrades with roll-up sides. You want to talk about that? Because you've had some iterations. You were saying that, you know, with your end walls and how you've done the roll-up sides, you've had some successes and failures.
Yeah, so we've had a couple tunnels to actually have wind damage, and each incident was because of the end wall failing. We have, I think, found a solution with top rail and having something to anchor the 2 doors to, and we use a gear tie to basically tie off. So far, we haven't had any problems. We've had a couple hurricane scenarios, and we actually put 2 gear ties on just to be sure. But so far, I feel as if the end wall doesn't fail, you're in really good shape.
Yeah.
We haven't done any other modifications, but we put a baseboard on to keep our soil in place, keep it in the house. The roll-ups have been a huge time saver for us. The old system of up and down each side was really time consuming.
Yeah, for sure.
But we love the fact that because you have the option you have, it was inexpensive for us to get the tunnels.
Yeah.
And then we added these as we wanted to, and as we've progressed over the last 6 years. But we find it's a huge time saver.
Yeah.
We can put the sides up or down in a matter of minutes, couple minutes. Versus walking down each side, you know, putting up and down the plastic with the rope system. So
yeah, that's great. So you just added the wooden baseboards along, and then your channel, like a double wire channel, and then roll up sides.
The baseboard really serves 2 purposes, John. Sorry, but it gives us a place to do the eye bolts for the billow cord.
Right. Yeah.
We really need some way to attach that, and the main reason besides that is to keep our soil in place so it doesn't wash off.
Keep it from eroding out. Yeah. And you're using overhead and then also drip in all of your tunnels, right?
Yeah, we like to have both because depending upon the circumstance, we want to have the option to overhead. We really like the fact that we can use the overhead to flush multiple times a year, really water heavily and flush the houses. And but yeah, we like to have both and all, to have the option to have both.
Okay. Well, let's go check out the larger tunnels. You got 3 96-foot tunnels?
Yeah, so we have 3 30 by 96 high tunnels. We have 2 that are fully automated with heat, roll-up sides, which we find is really great because the heat is awesome. We do minimal heat through the winter. We try to set it around 36 degrees, and it helps us to not have to use row cover or worry about things freezing and thawing. It gives us lots of options of what we can grow. And we find that with the minimal heat, it gets us crops that other farmers possibly can't have longer and healthier looking, with a lot less labor with row cover on, row cover off, row cover on, which takes away that labor.
Yeah.
We crank up the heat sometime in February to 55 to do some of the things you see now. cucumbers, zucchini. We've had broccolini now since early, I guess, April or late March. Selling.
That's amazing.
So we've been selling broccolini for about 6 weeks now. We got green beans already, 1st of May. Cucumbers, we've already run through a row. We've been selling cucumbers for over 5 weeks now, 4.5 weeks. So when we turn the heat up, we just look at the average over the year. The crops that we can sell prior to turning the heats up really help us pay for the moments we do turn them up.
Yeah.
And you're looking at only maybe a month and a half before we really have some nighttime temperatures to where it's not as big a deal.
Yeah.
So really that month of March into April is there really 6 weeks
Yeah.
of really increased heat. But we find by having November, December, January, and most of February with the minimal heat, the crops that we can crank out of here, that it's worth it.
Yeah.
To be early.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Yeah, I think it's incredible that you have cucumbers and green beans and all that already. Here we're the 3rd of May.
Right.
And yeah, it's neat. But it's also interesting the way you've explained it, that even though there's additional cost of outfitting a greenhouse with the double plastic and heaters and stuff, there's also a huge savings in not having to deal with row covers and all of that time it takes to move them on and off in those shoulder seasons. So
yeah, just to have the crops protected through the winter and not to have this to be a concern.
Right.
Outdoors, I mean, you have that's there, but not to have to deal with it inside these tunnels is really, it's a huge time saver and just a headache that you don't need to worry about. Because we all know row covers can be a headache.
I think every farmer could agree with that.
We have multiple outdoor plots. We have 4. Like I say, most of our growing is inside. Our niche is to be off season.
Okay.
We take a 3-week break in August to kind of gear up for running through the winter. North Carolina, the heat is pretty severe, and the disease, pestilence, insect pressure really high in August. Plus, we've found that a lot of my customers, we can sell them summer vegetables May, June, July, and we're ready for a break from summer veg, and some of my customers are too. And we find just that transition period is necessary for us to kind of be sustainable for the year. Since we push through the winter, and we can make more money November, December, and January than we can in August.
Yeah.
Any of those months, you know. So
I believe it. So I want to stop here for a second, because you were explaining to me earlier that I think this was your first large greenhouse and you bought it without any automation features. So this one just has manual roll-up sides, no automated ventilation. And you realized after this experience how important that was. So talk about that a second, because obviously there's more expense, but you feel like that's definitely worth it for farmers starting out to invest in that.
Yeah, so this was a learning experience for us. We budget, right? So we wanted to get a tunnel. Getting started, there's so many different things you have to pay for, so it was budgetary means. Totally automated, no electricity in here. This is just bare bones structure. But it worked, it served its purpose, but we found really quickly you're like married to it. Like I had at that time working an off-farm job. It's cool, cloudy in the morning, everything's cool, kosher, but then 10 o'clock, where the sun it pops out. Luckily my family's homeschool family, so I could make that phone call. But yes, you just felt like you were married to it, constantly up and down, especially in the shoulder seasons. Because all of a sudden it's warm, and then you got to vent. So, but it served its purpose, and we still think it's great. We do winter crops in here with no problem, but we are finding we have to do the row covers.
It takes a lot more time.
And we want to transition it to have the 3rd tunnel with possibly heat. Gives us lots of options. At this point, it's not even that, it's the retrofitting doors that are more gasket sealed versus what we have. So some of those things are like the hindrance for me moving forward. We're so busy. But having one and not all is better than all of them with the same labor intensity with row cover.
Yeah, I think those kind of investment decisions are always so challenging for any new business starting out, because you have to be cognizant of those expenses, but sometimes spending that little extra money is just what will put you over the edge of being more successful.
Right. We'll walk up to our first, this is our new plot, and then we'll circle back around. But we put this plot in, it's only been, this is its second season. We're trying to expand to have more options of growing space, to maybe give some of our areas a rest, cover crop more. We're in the market for two more farmer friend tunnels, because we love them so much. We just put tarps down, trying to kill some grass. That's a huge tool for us also, the tarps.
Yeah.
We experimenting here, we're playing around with winter rye, clover. We
So you planted a cover crop
through the winter.
Okay. Yeah.
Enjoyed it all winter long. Planted it last fall, let it get really nice and stout, and we came in probably a month ago and crimped it, hand crimped it, and me and an employee using a board and some rope, crimped it down. We pulled you guys tarps over and sandbagged it really well and pulled it off like a week or so ago, and looks like we spread straw. It's pretty cool. We're going to plant winter squash in here for the summer. So we're really excited to see how it goes.
Yeah.
This is new for us, new territory. We're, like I say, we're a non-mechanized farm. So it was a cardio workout crimping it for me and my employee. We're glad it was 600 foot, not more.
Yeah.
But we're really excited to see how this is going to work. We're just going to come through and dig some holes and plant our winter squash. Our soil is really nice and pliable underneath, so it's loose. I think it's going to be good. We're fertilize each individual hole. So we're curious to see how this works.
Yeah, that's neat. It looks really beautiful.
Using a natural mulch instead of our typical landscape fabric.
Yep. Yep.
So we have some summer crops, okra. Got a little cool spell.
Yeah.
Here for the first
Yeah,
of May.
it's a little chilly.
So we're trying to keep things covered up. We'll have beans here, squash, zucchini. We got some potatoes.
Yeah, I noticed you have quite a few potatoes here and a couple other places down there. Is that a...
New potatoes are great for us.
It's a good crop for you guys.
Yeah, so we dig them and sell them within a couple days.
Okay.
Such a delicacy. It's such... Once people try it, it's no turning back. We're easy to sell, very profitable for us.
Okay.
We're selling a pound for $5-6, depending upon how early we can have them.
Okay.
That kind of drops a little bit as we get into the season, but easy to sell because it tastes so
early.
great. Yeah, we started selling them 3 weeks ago. So back in April.
Wow.
The first ones I plant around the middle of January in a heated tunnel.
Okay.
And they do fine with minimal heat.
Right.
And they pop up well.
But these out here, I mean, these you planted, what time did you plant these?
These have probably been in the ground 3 weeks.
Oh,
4 weeks.
So not too long.
Yeah.
But you're able to keep them alive.
Yeah, we've had a couple of times where we've had to cover them. But we've been very fortunate that we hopefully have skipped the frost bug.
Yeah, because potatoes they have like zero frost tolerance, right?
Very tolerant, very tender foliage. But we push them because we think even if we cover them, they'll do fine. We've had them burned before and cut them back, and doesn't seem to hurt production too bad as long as it doesn't kill them to the ground. Yeah. And we've had them very young, and it do minimal damage if it burnt down as a young start pop up. But yeah, we find it to be a very profitable crop.
Yeah, that's neat because I think a lot of people view potatoes as just a crop that you can, it's a dime a dozen in 10-pound, 20-pound bags at the grocery store. But it seems like over the last few years, there's been more of a market for the young potatoes, and people are willing to pay that higher dollar price for them.
Yeah, so when you dig them fresh, they're young, you wash them gently and the skin starts to come off. It's just a whole different animal. And it's not even that. Like, if we can have them in April, most farms in our area are not even planting them until first week or two in March. So to have them early and to give people that option, because I mean, a lot of people love potatoes, and it's not your normal grocery store potato. It's a very much a culinary delicacy.
Yeah.
And once people get used to it, they're an easy sell. So
Yeah.
we find them to be pretty profitable for us.
That's great. That's
a mainstay crop. So we plant 600 feet, and then we're going to try this year to plant some maybe late summer.
Okay.
To have them early fall, which we've never done. So we're curious to see how that's going to work.
Okay. Cool. So I know tarps. You said tarps is an incredible tool that you've utilized. A lot of people get a little cringy when you start talking about plastics and stuff. Talk about how you've utilized tarps to save time. This looks like a field plot that you've never turned up before.
Yeah, this.
And these tarps have been down for how long?
A week.
A week. Okay, so I just want to pull this back here for a second. So this tarp's been down for a week, and you've already.
And here we are. We're not even hot yet.
Yeah.
So I mean, today
largely
is
killed it out.
62 degrees. We've had a few days almost 70, but we're not even in the 80s, and it's dying pretty fast, pretty rapidly. We utilize them a lot. We use them for weed control, the opulation for weed control. We've started the last year or so doing more cover cropping, which is challenging being no-till.
Yeah.
Without mechanization, no tractor or anything. But we find with these guys, I mean, it'll deteriorate really quickly. And we've also located a few products that we could do microbes.
Okay. Yeah.
Spray some microbes down. Really eat up the crop fast.
Okay.
Underneath the tarp.
What is that you spray down?
It's just different microorganisms that we can put down.
Okay.
That are live organisms.
Just helps to stimulate the
breakdown.
Okay.
We find that heavy water beforehand also helps.
Yep.
We've actually, in our bed system, we've either flail mowed, which we only use our BCS for, is flail mowing, or the crimping. We could put like a little inoculated compost over top, water real heavy, and then spray with our microorganisms, and yeah, it eats it up really well.
Yeah. That's neat. So water really heavy, put the microorganisms down, cover it with the tarps for a few weeks, pull the tarps up, and you can just basically prep your beds and ready to go.
Since this is so heavy grass, it might take longer.
Yeah.
We plan on leaving this for a month or so. We're going to work on this summer and get it prepped and ready, and hopefully get some tunnels and have it ready for the fall.
Yeah.
So we're going to take our time and let this die and get really good. But I think for just digesting a typical crop or a normal cover crop, it wouldn't take long at all, depending on the time of year, how hot it was, as to how fast it would be eat up.
Yeah, it's great. And I think the other thing that people need to realize is how many years you can use this. So it's kind of a tool that, you know, I think on my parents' farm, we'd have tarps that we've used for 7 years.
Wow.
And, you know, you just take care of them and you can use them for years on end.
I think my biggest issue is the edges. I'm a neat freak.
Yeah.
So I want to mow as close as I can.
Okay.
So I've hit a few with the edges from my mower.
Catch them with the mower, yeah.
This is our flower herb perennial garden. We sell all our produce off our farm in a farm store. We have one-way entrance in, and then we have a separate exit. And this is what people get to come around and see when they're leaving. And we'll plant a lot of annual flowers for the summer, some sunflowers. But we have herbs in here, and this gives my horticulture background a little flair for people to see as they're exiting our farm.
There's so much beautiful landscape design around the farm. So tell me a little bit about your horticulture background.
Yeah, so I've been in the horticulture industry for almost 30 years. We just recently dissolved our horticulture industry like a couple weeks ago. So it's after 25 years.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a huge part of our lives. It's half of my life having the business, and we're to the point now where the farm is really taking off, and we want to take that extra stress of having 2 jobs away. We're very fortunate that we have a really good customer base, that we we could let it go after 25 years. But it's still a passion.
Yeah.
As you could probably see around, we have a lot of beauty on our farm, and that's what we want with all the traffic that we have. I think it's a really good attraction for customers to come, because there's always seasonality, things changing, what's blooming now, what's happening now. And it's really cool because people get to drive through the farm as they leave and see all the tunnels. They can look in the tunnels and see what's happening. And we thought about all that while laying it out. So
yeah, with customers coming to the farm to get all the produce, it is important and very neat to have that beauty that you have here. So you have a 20 by 40 propagation house. Just take a peek in there. And
this is the engine. This is where everything gets their start. Also heated, also automated. We have great workspace tables. I think one nice tip we've learned is that metal legs, when you put up enough greenhouses, you'll have extra materials. Some companies are better than others. Some like to sell you more than you actually need, which is cool because it
can put it to good use.
Put it to good use. We find mice can't run up metal.
Okay.
So we have found
more than just it not rotting out, it keeps mice from being able to climb up and eat your seeds.
That's exactly right.
Wow.
But yeah, so we use this for drying garlic, onions in the summer. Okay. Multi-purpose. We have freezers we converted to germ chambers. We have a nice little refrigerator we keep all of our seed in, so all of our seed can stay cool. We can keep everything here centralized. All of our sprays here, all of our nutrients. It's kind of our workstation that's centralized here on the farm.
Kind of the hub of the farm.
The hub of the farm.
So you use wind strip trays. You found these to be the best results for your plugs?
I would think, these work great. We like the fact that they air prune. It's as good as you could get without the old school style of doing
soil blockers.
Blocks.
Yeah.
I think blocks are probably the best possible thing. These are expensive. That's an investment, but they should last a really long time. We've yet to break one. I'm assuming you could break it, but we look at the fact that it's sustainable for a long time. We like the fact that it does air prune like a block would. Gives you more leeway. So if, say, weather or something's keeping you from getting starts planted, we find that the health stays up better versus a solid plastic where the roots keep spiraling and spiraling and the health of the plant will decrease. That we can hold plants much longer in this tray, and we just keep investing in them, and I think we're to a point now where we have plenty, we have extras, because it's always that height of the season. That everything's full and you're like, oh, we need a couple more trays. So I think we're to a point now we've invested enough, and hopefully we won't have to do that for a long time. That's our hope. We use mostly 72s and 50s, and I think it meets our needs. We like them.
Do you start most of your crops in as transplants? We
try to do as much as possible because we find we want to get ahead of the weeds. But there's some things inevitably you have to seed, so it's just the minimal things: carrots, turnips, a few greens, radish, but everything else we try to do as much transplanting as possible. I think real quick while we're here, let's just walk in, we'll check out our tomato house.
Oh yes, we want to see the tomatoes for sure.
Here we are May 3rd and we've been harvesting tomatoes. This is our second week of getting some tomatoes, and another example of automated heat. What is possible, we plant our tomatoes I think the 3rd week of February, and we want to have them early. We can
plant them in the greenhouse, or? Okay.
Yeah, we started the seeds back in January in the prop house, and we like to have a nice size little start, and we come in, we like to be the 3rd week. Prior to that, we like to get everything prepped, and we water really well and flush, and kind of get everything set up. We do a little interplanting, not much, with the young plants like radish or bok choy. We like things really fast. Come out, clean the beds up, and then come in. We use landscape fabric to kind of help moisture. retention. But like I say, here we are the 3rd of May, and we have really nice established heavy fruited crops. And May and June, it's like gangbusters for us selling tomatoes. Yeah. Not a lot of competition. People are dying for a tomato. Mm-hmm. We find that heating is worth it. We do some crops on the end walls on each side. I mean the side walls. We do beets. Typically beets are a really good early crop. People are dying for them. Spring beets we find are the best beets. Okay. That our crops of beets pretty much subsidize the heat to where the tomatoes don't have to foot the bill solely for the heat. We find that's a system that works really well.
And you use the clipper trellising system.
Yeah, we've had it for this is the 5th season we've used it. It's like everything, it's got pros and cons. We really think it's a time saver. No ladder really necessary too much. We do it a little bit in the beginning because the fruit hasn't ripened. Plants are growing so rapidly, but once we can get that bottom fruit off, it's really easy. We don't need a ladder to move them. We've had to play around with our fertility. Too much nitrogen, you get a really fat stalk. It's harder to use the clip that comes with it. Okay. We find we just have to keep them moving, keep the clips moving, keep them moving up. And but the great pro is easy to pop up, easy to take down, easy to store, and sustainable. It should last a really long time.
You're not using a bunch of plastic clips or twine and
you're right.
Having to
we
fish
like
all that
it.
stuff out at the end of the year before you compost it.
Right.
Yeah.
We like it. We want to buy a few more for our cucumbers. I think it's going to be a system that we could actually use for our cucumbers anyway, because we basically just do one drop down, and then use the clips, to hold the cucumber as it goes. I think we could do the same thing as the cucumber goes up, just to hold it on the string.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. These are our Gothic pros from you guys. I just wanted to quickly show our in-wall solution that we found has helped us a lot. We've had a lot of wind since we've done this scenario, and we hadn't had any problems. This is basically top rail. These are just clamps that we actually tech screw on. I think that's important to make sure that they're not going to pop off. We actually have top rail cut stuck in the ground. So basically we've just created scissor doors. We have an extension that comes out, and we basically just have a clamp that goes over and tech screws into the top rail, and it kind of gives us a swivel.
Like a hinge.
That's right. Yep. So it just swivels on that purling up top.
So you have one side closed right now, the other side open. So if we go ahead and close this, basically what you do is
just
release it there.
Yes.
Swing that down, and then this gear tie.
That's right. We actually just have a small hole in the plastic where we can put them together, and we have it situated to where I can overlap, and then the next one overlaps a little bit, to give us more of a really good seal.
Yeah. But that just keeps this real secure.
Right. And
but
we have
also
found,
gives you the ability to ventilate thoroughly on the ends.
So like today, we have a lot of wind. Our wind comes from the north. This is the north side of the house. So we find just to keep the hard winds from blowing in, we still get ventilation, but it's just keeping that hard wind from just going straight into the house, maybe to lay things over. But we still gain the ventilation. So it's nice because it gives us options.
Yeah.
That's
neat. Cool.
Real quickly, our manifold system for all these tunnels, just so that we could try to control watering. Makes it easier to have the on-offs. Just have to be careful in the freezing temperatures that you drain it. Tool rack, where we keep all of our tools so that they're close to where we need them.
Very centralized.
Very centralized.
Your
we
tunnels.
want to keep it as close as possible.
So I like how you have a very simple selection of tools. Like you said in the beginning, you're using all hand tools.
Yeah.
So I've seen just like, you got your gritters for bed marking, wheel hose. You said you use a broad fork for
We have
turning.
our broad forks. They're on the back side. We have our collinear hose on the back side.
The Jang seeder for
Jang
seeding.
seeder. We use a tilther for minimal putting amendments just under the ground. to get a nice seed bed to seed with. But we try to do as little disturbance as possible. We find that it's worked best for us.
Yeah. So the most expensive tool that you have is your BCS, which it sounds like
we don't use it a lot.
You don't even use it all that much.
The flail mower is really all we use it for anymore. And I find that sometimes in the beginning it's cool. I think when we do our new plot, and when we did the new plot we just showed you, we did till to get compost as deep as possible in the beginning. And then we just form our beds and then do no more.
Yeah.
But we find that initial tillage gets us going.
Yeah.
And then we stop. We don't do any more.
Yeah.
But we're using the flail mower more than anything now.
Yeah.
Worm castings, it's a big new addition for us the last season or so. We get these slings of worm castings, and it's a nice inoculated compost in our opinion. We also think it's got eggs in it when you buy it.
Okay.
So we've seen a huge increase in our worm population.
Yeah.
From this, and we really like leaf mold also. So between the two, that's kind of the engine.
A lot of your fertility comes from that.
Yeah.
That's neat. Where do you get the worm castings from?
Seven Springs.
Okay.
So they're in Floyd, Virginia, which is really close. It's only a couple hours away, so really fast too. We could call one day and have it the next. But this is our beautiful landscape and home. We've put in a lot of work because we love it. We wanted to have a beautiful place for us, but also for our customers to enjoy. We have aspirations of having events here. If you know anything about landscape, it takes time to develop, and we're in we're starting our 7th year, so things are starting to be mature and look nice. But we would love to have dinners. We've just started recently doing gardening classes, farming classes. A lot of our customers, people are intrigued by how to grow vegetables. So that's been a nice revenue stream for us. We maybe would even like to do weddings or other events, anything that we can do that would get people here and to enjoy the work that we've put in.
It's beautiful. You guys have done an incredible job, and all the landscaping throughout the farm is just a testament to your eye for the details and the beauty of it.
Thank you. Like I say, first and foremost, we love it. We are homebodies, so this is our oasis. We don't travel a lot. We don't do a lot of vacations, so we want home to be that place where we're just happy to be, you know?
Right.
That we don't need to go somewhere else to find happiness. It's all right here, you know? So
that's great. And as we're headed over here to wrap up at the market stand, just you're now selling 100% of your produce off of the farm. Right. So we were doing farmers markets for the first 3.5 years. COVID shut our local market down. The city owned the building that was used for the market. It was really good because we had the store in place for a year before, but we were just struggling to gain traction. As long as we were at the market weekly, it was hard to get people to drive 25 minutes out to the farm. But once that stopped, it was great because we had the way for people to connect with us. We didn't need that third party. They had to come out here, and
had to come out. And once they came out and saw the farm, saw how everything is raised, everything is open door, they can walk around and see where their produce is being grown. And just the beauty of the farm, I think, has been a big attraction to get people to come out.
That's neat.
And it's great for us because commute is easy. Right.
Yeah. Then you never have to leave the farm.
Right. Right. But this building is a 30 by 30 building. We multi-purpose. We use it as a wash pack. And then here in just a moment, we'll be setting up for a Wednesday afternoon market. We do a Wednesday afternoon 4 to 6, and then Saturdays 9 to 12. We sell our organic produce, our pasture-raised eggs, and then we bring in other local items to kind of give people more of a one-stop shop, or what they would possibly could find at a farmer's market. Plus, a lot of these things we consume as a family, so it's just great for us to bring in all these items. But we found that being 25 minutes out of Greensboro, which is the third largest city in our state, that if we had these items, it's easier to draw people here.
Yeah.
Instead of just coming for our vegetables and our eggs, they can get more of their pastured meats. We do raw dairy, we have cheeses, we have honey, coffee, maple syrup, we have chocolates, we have a wide variety. We do baked goods, sourdough breads. That if we could have all those items, that it's
more
easier,
attractive.
yes, to get people to come out.
That's neat. So you bring the crops in out of the field, you wash it, prep it here, and it basically just can go straight into your cooler.
Right. We have a 10 by 16 walk-in that we use the CoolBot system.
Yeah.
2 by 6 studded walls full of foam. We have foam on top. We have foam under the concrete, very well sealed up. But yeah, it's a great storage, and it's easy to get to. Straight through the door, straight in. But we have a lot of space, and a lot of times it's full.
Yeah, I believe it.
We thought in the beginning that it was overkill.
Yeah.
But I'll go ahead and tell farmers that you think for the future.
Yeah.
Because you think it's good for now, but your hope is to grow.
Yeah. It's like we were talking about earlier, that initial investment can sometimes be hard to stomach, but it's generally good to go a little bigger than you think you're going to need.
And we really like the space because it's heated, it's air conditioned, for morale, for the employees to be able to get out of the heat. And for us, we think our products are better because we could quickly get them out of the heat.
Yeah.
While we're working and bagging lettuce, we're not in the heat. And then in the winter, I mean, it's such a relief to get out of the cold.
Yeah.
So that
I can tell you, I grew up washing carrots outside, in 30-degree weather.
Yeah.
In a big, yeah.
So we do a lot of stuff outside as much as we can, even through the winter if it's a nice day. We try to pick days for our harvest, for that simple fact. But when it's necessary, we bring things in, we wash at our sink.
It's just nice having a climate-controlled environment to be able to do that rather than having to be outside in freezing temperatures.
Right, and we use a real economic mini split.
Yep.
We have spray foamed the whole building, which really saves the use. Very efficient, cheap on electricity. But yeah, it's really nice to have that option to get out of the heat or to get out of the cold. And we really like that it's multi-purpose because it helps us maintain the neatness, the clean. We have to keep it clean because people are coming in. It's also transparent, so people get to see like how we do things. It's always a question like, what is that? What is this? And well, this is how your greens are washed.
Yeah.
This is how we dry it. It's a conversation piece.
Yeah.
I think it's also really cool. It's transparent. It's not that we're doing everything over there and you can't go over there and we're only going to sell here. Plus too, the economics of having two different buildings. But eventually we're almost probably there, like the amount of people who are coming, we do need a bigger space. So when we built this 30 by 30, we're like, wow, it's a huge building. Oh, we'll never need all this space, but here we are 7 years later. So
that's amazing. Yeah, space fills up. Well, that's really neat. Thanks for giving us a tour. People are going to love seeing this farm. And if they want to learn more about what you guys are doing, where can people follow you guys?
So we're on Instagram,
Sunset
Facebook.
Market Gardens.
Sunset Market Gardens. We have a website, sunsetmarketgardens.com. But social media, Instagram, Facebook, Sunset Market Gardens.
Awesome.
Thank
Alrighty.
you.